Hi there, my name is Jeremiah Parks and we're here at Tucker Sno-Cat, and we're just going to put some ice scrapers on today and show you guys how we do it here and how to properly fix them to the track. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is just get our grinder ready. We have a 36 grit sanding pad right here that we use. And then we're just going to sand the track. I'm going to pick a spot over the lug here. So we're just going to go ahead and grind this first one. And what we want to get is just a nice little pad for the scraper to sit on, and we just want to make sure that we got some good texture in it and that we're not putting any, we don't want to put any divots or do any damage to the track, but we want to make sure that we have a nice rough surface for the glue to stick to. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to take our ice scraper. I sand these when they come in, so we sand them here and just make sure that there's a nice rough area on top of the scraper. So, and then also a nice rough area on the tracks, that way that glue is going to have them stick nice. And so you'll get these pre-sanded. We sand them when they come in. So, all right, and we're going to use a 406 Loctite adhesive here, and we're going to put this onto this ice scraper. We use a disposable acid brush. So when you put the glue onto this scraper and you spread it around with your acid brush, it is going to turn this thing into a rock immediately. So you're only going to get one use out of a brush, so you're going to need a few of them. And we're just going to put on, we don't want to use too much glue, but we don't want to use not enough either. We're just going to get a decent amount and be really careful, because this stuff is really bad stuff. If it gets on your glove, it's going to make it smoke and all kinds of stuff. All right, so we're going to be using a primer right here. It's a Loctite SF770. And we're just gonna primer that spot that we just sanded, and that's gonna help the glue stick to the ice scraper right there. We have this little device that we made that goes over the ice scraper and a C-clamp right here. So we're gonna put that scraper on, and we're gonna put this over the top of it, and we're just gonna clamp that down and get some good pressure, so that way that glue adheres to there really nicely. So we're just gonna get about 3 to 4 to 5 sprays on there, just to get it, make sure the area is covered. All right, so we have our glue on our scraper, and I'm just gonna try to even this up with the lug right here. I'm gonna put it on there, and I'm just gonna put a little bit of pressure, because when it first gets on, there's, you know, the glue makes contact. You don't want to take it back off. You want it to get a good contact right there. And we get our dealing on there and put the clamp on, and we just want to get a lot of pressure on here. Really, the more pressure the better. Just make sure that's on there really good. And we're gonna let this sit for about 15 to 20 minutes and cure. All right, and I'm just gonna take this Loctite right here, the Loctite 406, and I'm just gonna run a little strip across the top, just so it can seal those little cracks around the outside of the scraper. And I'm just gonna put a little drop on the side and let that run down, and just make sure that it's all nice and sealed and there's no little openings in the scraper, between the scraper and the track. So this is a 175-inch track right here for an XL. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have 2 ice scrapers on it, and we're gonna have them evenly spaced. We're gonna count out 21 lugs. So we're gonna go from where this one is, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and then 21. That's where we're gonna put our second one. I use the lugs is where I put my ice scraper, just to kind of gauge and make sure that I have it straight up and down, because you don't want it tilted to the side. You want it to be straight up and down, make sure that it's going to get all that ice right there. And so you just have it straight over the lug is where I like to put them. Now if you're doing a 200-inch track, what you're going to want to do is, I'll have one right here. I'll count over 16, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, over to 16, and that's going to end you up somewhere around here. And then you're gonna go another 16, and that's gonna put you almost dead center, right in the center of that track on the other side. Again, that's for a 200-inch track. That's gonna be for, you know, if you have a 2000 or a bigger cat.
Hello, I'm Dan Eckelman. I'm gonna cover a little bit on why we actually put the scrapers on. So if you look at the front of your track, you actually have a arrow pointing forward here, and that's gonna show the direction of your track. So one thing to keep in mind, if you go to rotate those tracks from, say, this side to the other side, your scrapers are only mounted on the inside edge coming from the factory. But if you want to move your tracks, you will have to add scrapers to the other edge, so they are still serving their purpose of wiping the top of the axle off here. So do keep that in mind and pay attention to that arrow on the tracks to make sure that they are going in the correct direction. So right here is where those scrapers are going to be serving their purpose. So the snow and the ice will build up right here on top of the carrier journal, and those ice scrapers will come by and they'll help knock it off so that the ice and the snow doesn't build up and apply pressure onto your track, stretching it out and causing that sprocket to disengage, therefore losing performance and putting extra wear and tear on your tracks.
All right, so if you guys want to go ahead and purchase these items, we have a specially made C-clamp right here, and we have our special clamp that goes over the ice scraper. You guys can get a hold of Dan in the parts, and we can get these to you. We can get you ice scrapers and all this stuff. I believe that we sell also a little kit that has the Loctite 406 with the primer and stuff like that. So you just go ahead and get a hold of Dan, and we can get that stuff to you.